Chapter 361, Lacking Characters. Beating the Level 2 Guardian naturally meant that they would receive a Level 2 Guardian's blessing. The guild members online celebrated in the guild chat. Blue River was one of the players that had participated in the Guardian Challenge. When he saw the great celebration that was going on in Guild Happy's chat, he suddenly felt a huge sense of accomplishment. He hadn't felt such an emotion in a very long time with Blue Brook Guild. Over there, he felt like he was only doing work. The number of new guild members and their satisfaction felt like performance reports. He hadn't shared such simple joys with the new guild members in a very long time. He had always walked with the top players and would fight for dungeon records with a bunch of old birds every day. For these old birds, the fun in the games had turned monotonous. Good work, everyone, Yishu's Lord Grimm said to everyone who had participated in the Guardian Challenge. Everyone replied back politely. Some of these might be spies from other guilds. Blue River thought quietly. Even though he hadn't logged into his Blue River account very much these past 5 days, he still knew what was going on in Blue Brook Guild. He had others beside him in the guild. They didn't understand what Blue River was doing, but they didn't ask him any questions. Nothing really happened during these 5 days either. Should they send more spies into Guild Happy? Changing Spring had personally dealt with the issue. No one had run over to ask Blue River though. As for the character Blue River was playing on, his position in Guild Happy was very high. Apart from the extremely famous Lord Grimm, he was certainly the second most recognized character in the guild. Blue River managed the guild neatly and orderly. Whether it was for leveling in the wild, for dungeoning, or for doing quests, Guild Happy already felt the effects from his management. Even Blue River was having trouble adapting with Guild Happy's rapid development. Every time they leveled, another 100 players would immediately join. The fame for the guilds backed by clubs came from old players who loved Glory's competitive scene. They supported their teams and players and would naturally support their guild. The guilds backed by clubs still had to follow the game's rules though. But in reality, in gathering places for old players such as the Heavenly Domain, there were branches of Blue Brook Guild. These were obviously fans of Team Blue Rain as well. In-game, it was a very convenient way of gathering fans together. Their cohesiveness depended on the team's existence while the benefits from guilds weren't necessary. As for Guild Happy, they were still a normal guild. Even though their guild leader was actually God Yi Chu, this truth hadn't yet been revealed. And in reality, in the new server, his identity would only be the same as the club's. His name wouldn't actually prove to be too useful. New players had only just touched Glory. Teams, pro players, they had only just started understanding them and so it would take them a while to get interested. The reason Guild Happy could expand so quickly was entirely because of Lord Grimm's fame, which had come from him having crushed the top guilds. However, the cohesiveness from this type of fame couldn't compare to the loyalty of team fans. Even for a guild created by a famous player, Blue River wasn't too optimistic about unrestrained expansion. He had originally planned on reminding Lord Grimm, but after the guild reached level 10, he saw that the number of players who joined had slowed down. At level 12, after the last batch of players joined, Blue River saw that the guild closed off any other requests to join the guild. Blue River hit his head. These sorts of things didn't need to be reminded of by him. Some of the management matters had been given to him simply because Lord Grimm didn't have that much time on his hands. But for this god with 10 years of experience, as expected, he didn't make such a mistake for the guild's general direction of development. The 5 days had already passed. He couldn't actually stay with Guild Happy, or maybe he should. Just as Blue River was thinking about this, he suddenly received a message. Old Blue. The message was from Lord Grimm. I'm younger than you. Blue River coughed up blood. Yi Chu's age was well known. He wasn't as old as him, so why was he called Old Blue? Oh, Little Blue. The message returned with a change in the name. But even so, Blue River still felt that it was weird. He endured it though and didn't argue. Let me introduce these guys to you. Yi Shu gave Blue River the names of 7 fields, Sleeping Moon, Drifting Water, Sunset Clouds, and their 4 friends that they had brought along from Full Moon Guild. What's this for? Blue River asked. These guys aren't new players. But their level isn't very high, which means that they can play together with the new players. How do you think they should be organized? Yi Shu replied. I've still got a lot of stuff to do back in Blue Brook Guild, even though there really wasn't much going on in Blue Brook Guild recently. How could this old brother just call on him so naturally like that? He was still a spy. A spy? Oh, then you can do it after you finish that stuff, Yi Shu replied. Blue River almost fell off his chair. He didn't know how to reply. When the other side followed up, I suggest you use 2 computers with 2 accounts open. What do you think? Would that be too hard? Besides ellipses, Blue River didn't know what to say. Several system notifications popped up. Blue River opened them up to check. There were 8. The 8 players that Yi Shu had referred to him wanted to add him as a friend. Yi Shu had clearly told them to say hi to him. Blue River couldn't do anything but accept them. They were all old players, so they knew what they needed to do. After saying hi, they directly went to the main subject. Blue River had managed the guild for the past 5 days, so no one was more clear than he was on what to do with these 8 old players. After getting to know their schedules, he quickly assigned them to a suitable position. As for the significance of these 8 players, Blue River and Yi Shu both knew that they were the same as them. They were basically babysitters for the new players. If the size of the guild was slightly smaller, anyone would do. But with Guild Happy's terrifying development, Blue River had to work hard by himself. Now that there were 8 others with suitable levels too, Blue River felt very grateful for them. They can't be the only old players who have joined, right? Blue River could tell what Yi Shu was thinking. When the guild reached level 10, he stopped adding players, but didn't close off the guild requests either. From this, Blue River knew that Yi Shu was preparing to accept the players who had left their other guilds. The new batch of players clearly had higher levels than the others in the guild too. When Blue River swept across the names list, he could even see a few names he had recognized. They were originally from their Blue Brook Guild and had switched over to Guild Happy. Blue River didn't know what to feel about these players. Yeah, there should be quite a lot. You can slowly feel them out, Yi Shu replied. Facing someone who asks another to work but didn't actually work himself, Blue River couldn't feel happy. Are you planning on competing for the dungeon records? Blue River switched the subject. In truth, this was the reason why the top guilds were hostile towards Guild Happy. From a common sense perspective, Guild Happy didn't have a reason not to compete for the dungeon records. But after managing the guild for so long, he discovered that Guild Happy didn't have the conditions necessary for competing for the dungeon records. Level. This was their main problem. In the entire guild, only Lord Grim, Cleansing Mist, and Soft Mist had levels that could compare with the top guild's first string players. They could compete with the top guilds in the Forefront 10th server dungeons. But aside from them, they didn't have a fourth person. Lord Grim originally had steamed Bun Invasion, but right now, his level was too far off. As for that Ghostblade, 1-inch Ash, Blue River couldn't find him in the guild's name list. No matter how good God Yi Chu was, with only 3 players, it wasn't possible for them to compete for dungeon records. And there was no way that they'd be able to find any accounts at this level in the new server. Blue River could even say how many players were at this level, 99. At that time, there were 99 players who were cooperating in Sin City. In addition, Blue River could even write down all 99 players' names if given enough time. They were all elites from the top guilds. These players definitely wouldn't help Guild Happy out. There aren't enough players who meet the needed conditions. Our levels aren't high enough, Yi Shu's reply told him of this problem. Can your Blue Brook Guild lend me 2 accounts? Yi Shu asked. Don't even think about it, being a babysitter in Guild Happy was already weird enough. He really had no way of explaining about letting him use 2 accounts. His Blue Brook Guild friends thought that he was just addicted to being a spy and didn't know what exactly he was up to. That Blue River account hasn't been on these past few days, right? Yi Shu asked. Yeah, it hasn't. What a waste. How about I use it? F***ck off. That's the guild leader's account. Guild leader account. Blue River couldn't endure it anymore. In the past, he had always taken note of God Yi Chu's professional identity, so his tone had been respectful. But the more he came into contact with him, the more he felt like there was no reason for his respect. There really is no reason to respect him. After Blue River shouted at the god, he suddenly felt quite good. Chapter 362, there's still one more trick. In the 10th server, the highest level that players could be was level 42. There were differences in the experience within this group, but the differences weren't too big. The main reason for their level advantages was because of the alliance with Yi Shu in the Christmas event. Yi Shu, Su Mucheng and Tang Ru could be considered a part of the top players in the server. But since they couldn't be online 24/7 like the characters from the top guilds, they were among the bottom and were only at level 41 right now. The guild leader account Blue River was also amongst these top players. This account's level had been outstanding. But because it hadn't been played on for 5 days, it was immediately left behind by the other elite characters. Yi Shu's mention of this account was a reminder to Blue River. Since he hadn't been on his main account for 5 days, his character's level hadn't really changed. Even though the guild leader didn't necessarily have to be the highest level in the guild, levels were still the most direct symbol for one's status in the game. Having a higher level as a guild leader gave more power to their words. Blue River's account was still at the top of the guild, but if he continued to neglect using it, that would soon no longer be the case. I have to go back to Blue Brook Guild to take a look, Blue River thought. He sent Lord Grimm a message and hastily logged off his account. Peerless looks. In the blink of an eye, he logged back in with his Blue River account. How fast! I wasn't even done talking yet, Lord Grimm had chased after him. What else is there? Blue River asked. As soon as he logged on, he received quite a few greetings. Spies were a very secretive matter in the guild, so not many players knew that Blue River had been using Peerless looks to infiltrate Guild Happy. The majority of guild members thought something had happened to him in the past few days. Seeing Blue River suddenly return, they quickly asked him if anything had happened, making Blue River feel very moved. Blue Brook Guild was still his home. With so many friends and memories. Blue River replied to everyone with a tinge of emotion. Yi Shu once again messaged him, among those that are high up on the level standings, do you think there are any that can be dug out? No way, Blue River decisively said without looking at the standings. These characters were definitely loyal to their guilds. How could such carefully groomed characters be pulled away so easily? Not even one, Yi Shu asked. Blue River had been very confident initially, but Yi Shu's question had made him hesitate. Nothing was absolute. He didn't understand other guilds as well as his own. How could he be certain that others might not feel the same way? You might not be so sure of other guilds, so go check on the ones from your guild, Yi Shu said. F***CK, you even know that they're from our Blue Brook Guild, Blue River replied with an emoticon of a crumbling face. If their hearts aren't there, then there's no point in forcing them, Yi Shu replied. Whose heart isn't there? Blue River replied, but he felt a bit lacking in confidence. Because in these past few days, his heart wasn't really there. But after logging into his Blue River account and receiving the concern of everyone in his guild, he still felt that he belonged to Blue Brook Guild. It's just analogy, Yi Shu replied. Even if the player's heart isn't there, the character is still going to stay. Blue River wasn't lying. These characters were all being leveled by using the guild's resources from up to 3 players. The character was considered the guild's, not a single person could just take that away whenever they wanted to. There isn't any exception? Yi Shu asked again. Blue River hesitated again because when he looked at his guild's member list, he discovered that there really was an exception in their Blue Brook Guild. 1000 creations. This guy loved TKAs and he was the only one who had leveled his own character. The guild didn't really provide too much help for him. However, his skill in the game was truly top-notch, so whenever an important activity happened, 1000 creations would usually be brought along. For the Christmas quest, 1000 creations had been specially called him over, too, so he leveled up like crazy. Afterwards, he continued with his playstyle. His leveling speed couldn't compare to those characters that could be on 24/7, but he was still among the very top. I know how you guilds groom your elite characters. But because Glory requires that you use an account card to log in, there's a limit to your method of leveling. There can't be too many characters that can be leveled this way. From the looks of it, the highest leveled ones are definitely being leveled in this way, but the ones that are just on the border are probably leveling on their own. No, Yishu said. That. Blue River felt powerless against Yishu's message because his analysis was completely correct. For example, by looking at the level standings, Blue River had been dropped off of it because he hadn't played for 5 days. As for Thousand Creations, who was being leveled by only one person, he was on the very edge. So from the level standings, you can test it out starting from the bottom to the top, Yishu said. How are you going to test them? Blue River couldn't help but ask. Even though Yishu's decision made sense, his decision still stood that there were players that had the qualifications to take their accounts with them. This didn't have anything to do with the players' loyalty to the guild either. Trying to rope these players in would be very troublesome, so Blue River was curious as to how he was going to achieve that. Sigh, there really isn't any other way. My only choice is to use my old name and tell them that I'm Yichu to see whether or not they'll follow me over, Yishu replied. F***ck, Blue River's hand shook and he typed a string of exclamation marks. How could he have forgotten about this move? Yichu's identity. Thinking about this and checking the name list, Blue River's eyes turned black. Thousand Creations. How could he not understand his own guild's players? Even though Thousand Creations was a member of Blue Brook Guild, his favorite player was still Yichu. Any player whose favorite class was the Battle Mage would have Yichu as their idol. With such power, he'd be the same as their guilds who were backed by clubs who used their teams to attract fans. It couldn't be said that them support a team and liking a player from another team were conflicting. Especially for players like Yichu, or Huang Shaoshan, or Han Wenqing, Zhou Zikai, these players who represented the top of their respective classes. Battle God, Sword Saint, King of Fighting, Great Gunner. How could people who played these classes not idolize these pros? If we start from the bottom, the first one is you. So it isn't convenient for you to come over with your guild leader account, Yishu began. Blue River was silent. Next up is Thousand Creations. Hey, I think I recognize this guy. He's from your guild, right? Yishu gave a live report of what he was doing to Blue River. Blue River was speechless. He didn't know what to do. Should he go warn Thousand Creations first? But how should he go to that? Was he just going to tell Thousand Creations that in a bit, Lord Grimm's going to tell him that he's Yichu and that he can't trust Lord Grimm because he's a dirty liar? The problem was, it was actually the truth. If he actually said that to Thousand Creations, then he'd be the dirty liar. But then again, how is Yichu going to prove that he was actually Yichu? Blue River still didn't know what to do. He suddenly received a message. At first, he thought it was from Lord Grimm, but when he opened it, he saw that it was actually from Thousand Creations. Lord Grimm said he was Yichu. Did you know that? Thousand Creations messaged. Blue River was startled. Where'd that question come from? That guy added me as a friend and said that he was Yichu. He said that if I didn't believe him, I should go and ask you, Thousand Creations said. God d*mmit, Blue River's hands trembled. He hadn't thought that he'd become Yichu's proof. What should he say? What should he say? What's wrong? Thousand Creations replied quite quickly. Lord Grimm isn't anything special, Blue River replied. Oh, he's pretending to be Yichu? Thousand Creations asked. Blue River struggled for a while, before finally replying, yes. He's a dirty liar. Guild leader. Are you saying this because you're afraid that I'll run over to Guild Happy? Thousand Creations suddenly replied. How could that be? Blue River stared blankly after replying, because Thousand Creations wasn't wrong. Because he said that you wouldn't help him prove his identity because you're afraid that I'll abandon you, Thousand Creations said. How could he be so shameless? Blue River was about to go mad. Guild leader. Is he really Yichu? Thousand Creations asked. What about you, if he really is him? Are you going to leave? Blue River asked. After a long pause, a message finally flashed. Blue River looked and saw Thousand Creations reply, leave. He's not, Blue River decisively replied. Guild leader, Thousand Creations could already see the reason for his answer. Fine. He's Yi Chu. He really is, quite a few already know this. If you wanna go, then go, Blue River sighed. Thanks, guild leader smiley face. Thousand Creations added a smiley face, and in the next second, a guild notification appeared in Bluebrook Guild's chat. Player Thousand Creations has left the guild. Chapter 363, one more. In the end, Thousand Creations left the guild. Blue River had been prepared for this though, so he wasn't too surprised. It was just that the way Yi Chu had used him to prove himself made Blue River want to cry. Thousand Creations leaving the guild gave Blue River less worries. He was familiar with the players in his guild, so apart from Thousand Creations, the rest weren't big fans of Yi Chu. This meant that using his identity to pull them in wouldn't work. For example, Bound Boat had known of Lord Grimm's identity long ago. Blue River thought that everything was good now, when a bunch of messages suddenly popped up. He opened them and looked. Most of them were old veterans of the guild asking what was going on with Thousand Creations. A cold sweat ran down Blue River's back. The top elites weren't fans of Yi Chu, but it was hard to say whether or not the others were. Blue River also couldn't tell them all that Thousand Creations had left in order to follow Yi Chu. This answer could very likely send another batch of talents running off. It's nothing much. He just chose to. Blue River could only give them an evasive answer. Luckily, Thousand Creations wasn't a very popular character in Bluebrook Guild. It was just that he had been with them for so long, so most players still recognized him. When he suddenly left out of nowhere, it was natural for them to question it. The only reason they wouldn't want him to leave would be because of how the loss would affect the guild's strength. Aside from that, it'd be hard to say if anyone else cared about Thousand Creations leaving. Is there anyone else in the guild like Thousand Creations? Just tell it to me straight so that I don't have to try them all one at a time. It'd be very embarrassing if I had to do that, Lord Grimm messaged. Do you even know what it means to be embarrassed? Blue River didn't even have the strength to comment sarcastically. Of course, Lord Grimm said, as if he had standards. That's it. You'll know if you look. Players who idolize you usually play as battle mages, Blue River replied. That's true, Lord Grimm added a nodding head emoticon, but he quickly followed up, but it seems like you guys have a launcher? Blue River began to sweat like mad. How could he forget that there was still Su Mucheng? In terms of skill, Su Mucheng couldn't be considered as top tier, but through her appearance and methods of publicity, her influence didn't lose to god-level players. Su Mucheng had the absolute majority of fans, who played as launchers, as her fans. Blue River panicked, but let out a sigh of relief when he looked at the name of the launcher in his guild list. Yeah, there's a launcher, but even if you call out Su Mucheng, he won't leave, Blue River replied. Oh, from your guild? Yeah. How about you kick him out of the guild? F***ck off, Blue River growled. After 5 days of being a spy, Blue River had gotten a lot more irritable, though he couldn't pinpoint why. It looks like there really isn't anyone else from Bluebrook Guild. Yi Chu had been very serious when he studied the list of high-leveled players. He understood that his identity really only worked for battle mages. If this was a few years earlier, he might have been everyone's idol, but in the past few years, glory had been continuously developing while more and more experts from all different classes were emerging. It was currently the golden age. His influence couldn't compare to how it was before. If he just wanted to expand, relying on this method would work. However, the problem was, Yi Chu needed players who were at least level 40 in order to challenge the level 40 to 43,000 Waves Lake dungeon record. This was where most of the competition was amongst the top guilds right now. You can't find anyone? Chen Guo asked. For these players that have higher level accounts, even if I can persuade the player, I can't get their account. What we need are the high level accounts. The player really doesn't really matter, Yi Chu said. What about others? Chen Guo asked. There's only this one left. Yi Chu clicked on a name near the bottom of the top 100 players. His name was Horse Shooter, a launcher from Misty Castle. Launcher, Chen Guo immediately understood Yi Chu's intent when she saw the class. She had been watching Yishu the entire time and didn't feel that using his identity as a god was shameless. She actually felt quite good about it. If she had been Yishu, she would have directly announced to the world, "I'm Yichu. If you like me, then follow me." I have to get Mucheng to do it. Though, Yishu hesitated. HMPH. She's definitely not as shameless as you, Chen Guo said. I'll let her figure it out, Yishu said and told Su Mucheng what to do. Okay, let me try. Su Mucheng's reply was very simple. Su Mucheng had been even faster than Yishu. It hadn't even been a few minutes, when she replied, done. Yishu opened up the level standings and saw that Horse Shooter no longer had a guild name next to him like Thousand Creations. He had clearly left the guild already. How do you do it? Yishu asked. It was nothing. I added him as a friend, then said that Guild Happy was recruiting with Yichu and Su Mucheng taking the lead and asked him if he was interested. Su Mucheng replied. And then? He was obviously very amazed. I then told him that I'm actually Su Mucheng, Su Mucheng said. And then he believed you? Yishu asked. Of course not. I then gave him a cell phone number and told him to call it if he didn't believe me, Su Mucheng said. You gave him your cell phone number? Huang Shaotian's. He likes to talk, no? So I had to give him this opportunity, Su Mucheng said. Hey, Yishu began to sweat. It was still a private number. In particular, for gods like Huang Shaotian, randomly giving out his number wasn't good. I'm just kidding. I just video chatted with him for a bit and that was enough, Su Mucheng said. Okay, Yishu suddenly understood. It wasn't that he hadn't thought of using this method, but it was just that it wouldn't work for him. No one knew his appearance, so what would a video chat do for him? Su Mucheng was different, though. Pictures of her were everywhere. Okay, after 5 days, we'll be able to form an elite team. We can use these 5 days to start practicing, Yishu announced. Will that class comp work? Chen Guo asked. Not really. But it's better than not having enough people. Yishu was helpless. This team had 2 battle mages and 2 launchers. It was quite a mess. At this moment, Blue River took another sweep at the level standings and saw that Horse Shooter didn't have a guild name next to his name like Thousand Creations. He immediately understood that Yichu had gotten him. Truthfully, Blue River had noticed him and guessed that he would be Yichu's next target. It turned out to be true. Using Su Mucheng's fame, they were able to recruit a launcher. Now, Guild Happy had a high-level dungeon team. Thinking of how the dungeon records could only have been made with the dungeon guides, Blue River felt like the future for the top guilds in the 10th server were looking very grim. How were the top guilds going to compete? Blue River racked his brains. He had already forgotten that as the 10th server guild leader of Blue Brook Guild, this was supposed to be an issue that he should be trying to solve and not just thinking about it as if he were an outsider. The level standings weren't something the top guilds paid much attention to like Blue River did, but there were still players that noticed. 2 characters not having a guild wasn't something that the top guilds thought too hard about. Seeing that these 2 high-level characters didn't have guilds, the first thing they did was try and pull them in. As a result, Thousand Creations and Horse Shooter were receiving invites from all the top guilds in the server. But after receiving their replies, as if lightning had struck them, the guilds immediately understood the truth. These 2 high-level characters had gone to Guild Happy? Like Blue River had initially thought, these guild leaders hadn't thought that these high-level players were able to be dug out by Guild Happy, and from the reports given to them by spies in Guild Happy, they knew that Guild Happy wasn't able to compete with them for the level 40 to 43,000 Waves Lake dungeon because they didn't have enough high-level players. This was the result of Lord Grimm's work in Sin City. If he hadn't come out, the top elites from their guilds wouldn't have pulled so far apart from the rest of the player base. It could be said that Lord Grimm had suffered the consequence of his own actions. The top guilds were happy about this, but who would have thought that Guild Happy would be able to persuade 2 high-level characters to join? This news made them feel very uneasy. What the heck was Blue Brook Guild doing? What the heck was Misty Castle doing? The guilds that had their characters leave immediately received a bunch of hate. They obviously didn't know of Yishu's method of persuasion. They just felt lucky that he didn't persuade their players. In 5 days, Lord Grimm will bring his team to compete for the dungeon record. The top guilds were all discussing about this issue. 5 days. Will we be able to pull our levels apart? Not by much. Lord Grimm's team doesn't need the highest level characters to take down the record. Unless we can pull far apart enough to reach another dungeon, 1 or 2 levels won't make a difference. Everyone was silent. No one knew what to do. As a result, the guild leaders created a group chat again and began tackling this difficult issue. How could Blue Brook Guild and Misty Castle let these high-level characters go? This question started the discussion. The answer to that is very scary. Are you sure you want to know? Blue River said dully. Chapter 364, Next Stage. Many of the participants in the group chat already knew what Blue River was going to say. The leading top guilds were especially quiet, but then, Samsara's lonely drink stood out. Seeing that no one was speaking, he typed in an angry face emoticon to express his feelings and then asked, "What's the answer? I want to know what's so scary about it." Happy's guild leader, Lord Grimm, is Yi Chu. Blue River didn't try to decorate his words. They were very blunt. The people who knew this continued to stay silent, but Lonely Drink continued to jump out. Yi Chu? Which Yi Chu? Which Yi Chu do you think? F***ck, no way. It wasn't hard to imagine what Lonely Drink's expression was, and he wasn't the only one, either. After a moment of cold silence, Lonely Drink once again spoke up. If Lord Grimm is Yi Chu, then that launcher cleansing mist is. Lonely Drink was already beginning to carefully pick his words. Yeah, you've probably guessed correctly, Blue River replied. Sweat. So what? Lonely Drink had been the most aggressive towards Lord Grimm, but at this moment, everyone felt like he had suddenly weakened. Nothing really. Blue River's words were as if he had nothing to do with it. Guild Happy has Yi Chu and Su Mucheng. That's the reason why there were people who left to go join Guild Happy. Guild leader Blue River, you seem to know a lot. Tyrannical Ambitions guild leader Zhang Yu suddenly said. Same to you, Blue River replied. What? You guys already knew about this? Lonely Drink had just realized that he had been the only one asking questions. The others just sat there like spectators. In truth, there weren't that many who knew of this, it was just that everyone in the chat group was of high status. No one answered Lonely Drink's question though, whether they already knew of it or had just learned of it. Don't tell me. No wonder the overall guild leaders of the 3 great guilds all ran over to manage the 10th server. It was because the opponent this time wasn't normal, Lonely Drink said. Changing Spring, Arisema, and Zhang Yu going over to the 10th server was something that only their respective guilds knew of. They obviously didn't tell outsiders. It was just that more perceptive people could tell. Don't blame me for being too blunt. With opponents such as Yi Chu and Su Mucheng, even with you 3 here, it still won't even be close to enough, right? Lonely Drink clearly wasn't in a good mood. These guys seemed to have known everything all along, while he was the only one completely in the dark. To them, his previous actions made him look like an idiot. Lonely Drink obviously wasn't happy about that. The others understood what he was thinking, but they didn't bicker. Herb Garden's Plantago Seed came out to mediate the situation. Aren't we going off topic? The main issue is that we originally thought that Guild Happy wouldn't be able to compete with us for dungeon records, but now it looks like the situation has changed. That's what we should be trying to figure out, no? Ha ha ha, you're right. This issue really is very troublesome. You guys hurry up and think of a solution, Lonely Drink said. Everyone was stumped for words at first, but quickly recovered. This troublesome issue didn't really matter much for Samsara. This was because during the last Christmas event, Guild Samsara hadn't been in the list of guilds working together with them, so their first string characters weren't in the same level range as them. They had already been left behind in the level 40 to 43 dungeon record competition. There was also one other guild that was like Samsara, Excellent Dynasty. Speaking of Excellent Dynasty, everyone was even more puzzled about their situation. In the Christmas event, if Lord Grimm hadn't interfered, Excellent Dynasty would have definitely taken the lead, but due to the interference, not only did Excellent Dynasty's lead fail to appear, their numbers advantage didn't bring up anything good and they ended up like Samsara. They had invested the most into the 10th server, but right now, they were still rushing towards level 40. In terms of their investment and return, they were doing even worse than Samsara. Samsara doing poorly wasn't important. However, Excellent Dynasty was the guild Yi Chu came out from. His previous account, Battle God 1 Autumn Leaf, and Su Mucheng's Dancing Rain were both under Excellent Dynasty's name. It was already unexpected that Yi Chu would be so unfriendly with them, but to torment them to such an extent? Ever since learning of Lord Grimm's identity, this question had constantly been on their minds. They had invited Excellent Dynasty to this group chat this time and had even revealed Lord Grimm's identity. They wanted to see how Excellent Dynasty would react, but it turned out that they didn't react at all and only Lonely Drink stood out. Guild leader Chen, what do you think? Excellent Dynasty's people weren't speaking. Their biggest rival guild's leader, Tyrannical Ambitions Zhang Yu, directly called out Excellent Dynasty's Chen Yahui. Oh, I have the same line of thinking as Lonely Drink. This dungeon record issue is very problematic. You guys should think of a way to solve it, Chen Yahui said in a dull voice. Nothing new came out from him. If the others were in their situation and their guilds wouldn't be able to gain anything out of this, they'd sit there watching the drama, too, but this wasn't what everyone wanted to know. They wanted to know why Yi Chu and Excellent Dynasty were on bad terms with each other. There was definitely gossip to be had in this. The disagreement between Yi Chu and the team was a rumor that had been circulating around for a long time, despite both sides' avoidance of the subject. Yi Chu's retirement had been extremely sudden, too. An abrupt retirement during the middle of a season and then the rookie Sun Shang immediately taking his place made this seem like a purge. It seemed like they wouldn't be able to get anything out of Chen Yahui, but with Yi Chu's conduct in-game, it seemed like the rumors really were true. For the other large guilds, this was good news. If not, with Excellent Dynasty having such a top-tier god looking after them, besides dying and giving up, what else could they do? The situation wasn't like this, though. Excellent Dynasty and Samsara were currently at the foot of the mountain looking up at the tigers fighting because they hadn't been able to gain any benefits. Everyone knew that neither side would be able to dupe the other. As a result, a new group chat quickly formed. This time, the people who were only there to watch the drama weren't invited. They didn't want these drama watchers to know of their plans. If not, then who knew which of those drama watchers would try to take advantage of it? What should we do? A formal discussion began in the group chat. The group didn't forget to make sham gestures of politeness. I say that we need to rely on killing, Zhang Yu said. As someone who liked tyranny, he liked to use the simplest methods to resolve his problems. After a moment of silence, Arasema helplessly said, "You're right. There really isn't any other way." How do we go about killing them? Someone asked. From the looks of it, the current level structure in the 10th server is pretty much set. Our leveling speeds are already at their peak. Even a god like Yi Chu wouldn't be able to level any faster. So as long as our characters don't make a wrong move, Happy will only have these 5 high-level characters, Arasema analyzed. So you're saying we should target these 5? No need. We only need to choose one. As long as we kill him until his experience drops by a significant amount, that'll be enough, Arasema said. Right. First, we need to be able to guarantee that everyone's characters won't leave. Can everyone guarantee that? Arasema asked. That won't be a problem on my side, Blue River said. The others hesitated. They couldn't be confident that they could guarantee it. Or just promise that no more problems will occur, Arasema said it in a different way. We'll do our best, someone finally replied. Good. Besides this, there isn't anything else we need to be concerned about. You guys shouldn't be a stranger to hunting down one character. The other guild members need to watch out for Happy's movements and defend against any rescue attempts. I bet that they won't dare to initiate any large-scale guild battles. With their levels and skill, they would only be looking to die, Arasema said. I say that since we're all in this together, why not just eliminate Happy directly? Zhang Yu said. That wouldn't look good for us. Changing Spring forced himself to speak at critical moments, so he usually only spoke during these moments. Everyone agreed with his reasoning. They had to consider their own guild's image, too. Teaming up with other guilds was fine, but they had to have a good reason to. And right now? They didn't have a good reasons. If you said that you were going to wipe them out because they were a threat, didn't that make you a bully? Their guilds couldn't do this sort of thing. Then, who will our target be? The discussion moved on to the next stage. Thousand Creations, Changing Spring unexpectedly spoke out. Chapter 365, No Friends to the Left or to the Right. Changing Spring was usually too lazy to speak up in chat, but everything he said had been reflected on carefully. Why did he say Thousand Creations? Others on the side might need to take some time to think, but Blue River instantly understood the reasoning and felt a chill in his heart. Thousand Creations's personality was unsociable and eccentric. He didn't really have any friends in the guild. Outside of the guild, because of his love for kill stealing, the reason he hadn't become a notorious rat to the public was because the 10th server had only recently opened. However, Thousand Creations's skill level was the real deal. Changing Spring had seen this, which was why he had put in a great amount of effort to get him to join his guild. After spending so much time together, there were moments where he stirred up trouble, but he would always perform outstandingly at crucial moments. Even without all of his merits to the guild, he had been with them for so long, so there was still a bit of a relationship. As soon as Changing Spring saw that Thousand Creations would not help his guild anymore, he immediately used the black marks on Thousand Creation to make him the target. This choice coincided with his previous words of the effects wouldn't be good because dispatching troops to kill Thousand Creations could be considered for a just cause. When Thousand Creations came over to the 10th server, his personality hadn't changed and he would kill steal from time to time. Even though he hadn't aroused any public anger yet, if they went after Thousand Creations, there would still be many who would stand out and call it a justified act. But for Blue River, pushing down Thousand Creations just like that didn't feel right to him. Although, in the end, Blue Brook Guild was led by Changing Spring and he had the right to command what to do in the 10th server. His moral conduct is improper. We have reason to kill him, Changing Spring added to give everyone a reason for choosing Thousand Creations as a target. Oh. If it's just him alone, then even with Happy Guild taking him in, we can still act out. This might even develop into a reason to go to war. Zhang Yu's eyes lit up when he heard this. He still liked his idea and wanted an excuse to fight against Guild Happy. If they fought, Guild Happy definitely wouldn't be their opponent. Right now, the top guilds had to pay attention to their image, so they couldn't simply attack whenever they wanted to. Yeah, but this condition alone isn't enough. It can be considered as one reason to attack, though. Herb Garden's Arasema gave his approval. With the approval from the guild leaders of the three great guilds, the plan to kill Thousand Creations was pretty much decided on, so in the end, Blue River didn't say anything. He didn't have anything that he could criticize Changing Spring about anyways. He should perhaps even be admiring Changing Spring because Changing Spring was clearly more suited to leading. As Glory's competitive scene developed, these guilds, backed by clubs, became more and more professional, and Changing Spring had already grown from a player who only regarded the game as a game into a professional who regarded the game as work. He no longer felt that same type of pure joy from playing the game. He now considered the game as work and instead felt feelings of satisfaction and success. Up until now, Blue River still hadn't been able to reach this point. During the past few days with Guild Happy, he had found it fun playing with others, even for simple events like beating the level 1 and 2 guardians. He was certain that if he had been Changing Spring, he wouldn't have even batted an eyelid. Let alone for a level 1 or 2 guardian, he wouldn't even care for a level 20 guardian. To him, it was just another necessity required to develop the guild. Beating it wasn't something that needed to be mentioned. What was there to be happy about for something so insignificant? With the target chosen, the following steps were something that everyone had much experience with and not too much needed to be said. They only needed to make arrangements for organizing the hunting squad and deploying them. Blue River watched attentively, not saying a single word. From time to time, he would switch back to the game and look at Thousand Creations' name on his friends list. Honestly speaking, he didn't have much of a relationship with Thousand Creations, but Changing Spring's coldness still made him feel too uncomfortable. Should I warn Thousand Creations? Blue River was conflicted. What to do? He saw as the details were worked out in the group chat and knew that the operation would begin soon. The guild only needed to tell those online who to kill and they would do it. With the top guilds working together and watchers scattered throughout the server, Thousand Creations' whereabouts were already known. Should I or should I not? Blue River had already opened and closed the chat window with Thousand Creations several times now. He was extremely conflicted on what to do. In the end, Blue River finally came to a decision. He opened up the chat window with Thousand Creations and typed 2 words. Be careful. Blue River didn't say much. It was only 2 words, but he believed that Thousand Creations would understand. As soon as the message was sent out, Blue River felt as if a large burden had been lifted from his heart. When he looked back at the discussion going on in the group chat, he suddenly felt as if none of it was related to him. I know. Thanks. At this moment, Thousand Creations sent back a reply. He didn't ask for any details. It was simply an I know. From the looks of it, it seemed like he had already known this was going to happen. You already knew, Blue River couldn't help but to ask. Yeah, Thousand Creations replied. What do you know? The top guilds will definitely move against me, Thousand Creations said. It seems like you're quite understanding of the situation. Blue River was a bit surprised. Even though he hadn't interacted with Thousand Creations that much, they had known each other for a long time, so he at least had a general idea of his personality. For Blue River, Thousand Creations was simply someone who was good at fighting, but wasn't someone who had the mind to understand a lot about the battle between guilds. He hadn't thought that he'd have seen through all this. Nah. It was Yichu who told me, Thousand Creations replied. Blue River was startled. He had forgotten about this god. If Yichu already knew this was going to happen, that meant he probably had plans for Thousand Creations, no? Even though he didn't know what the plans were, he knew that they would definitely be difficult to deal with. Should he or not? Should he or not? 5 minutes hadn't even passed and Blue River was once again conflicted. He had wanted to tell the top guilds that Lord Grimm already had preparations against them, but just before he was about to speak out, he suddenly realized that he wasn't clear on what to report because he had no way of explaining himself. He couldn't just say he had warned Thousand Creations and then in return, Thousand Creations leaked important info to him. Blue River couldn't come to a decision before the group chat's discussion ended for the time being and everyone returned back to the game. Is it starting? Blue River messaged Changing Spring. Yes, Changing Spring replied bluntly. Be careful. The other side might have made preparations. Blue River said it in the end and then let out a deep sigh. He knew that if his words were looked into carefully, he would no longer have any friends to the left or right. However, he still felt that he would feel bad if he didn't say it. I hope so, Changing Spring replied, which made Blue River astonished. He soon understood that the top guilds wanted to go into a large-scale battle with Guild Happy. If Guild Happy protected Thousand Creations without restraint, then that would be exactly what the top guilds wanted. Both sides were trying to outwit each other. Blue River sighed and discovered that he was having a bit of trouble keeping up with everything. Even though he had still figured it out, he had been slow. Move out. At this moment, whether it was the overall guild leader or the guild leader of the server, all of them gave out the order and the operation began. Thousand Waves Lake. It was a level 40 to 43 leveling area, which had a glittering lake with blue waves rolling about. But as long as it was a leveling area, no matter how beautiful the scenery was, it would still be filled with danger. At the edges of the lake, savage monsters roamed around. In the lake, numerous water beasts at the level 40 to 43 range lay hidden. In the middle of the lake was a small island. This was the level 40 to 43 Thousand Waves Lake dungeon and the competition location for the 10th server's first string players. Thousand Creations was currently wandering around the edges of the lake and randomly killing monsters. There were very few players here because there were only a total of 99 players that were at this level range. Even if all 99 players were there, with them scattered around the vast lake, it was very unlikely for them to coincidentally meet. However, the top guilds had already begun shadowing Thousand Creations long before he set out for the leveling area. The shadowers verified that Thousand Creations was the target and then gave out his coordinates. Coordinates 2568, 4653. The target is currently over there. The players, who were following Thousand Creations, quietly reported back and then spread the word to the dispatched troops. Changing Spring and Blue River, these guild leaders, personally joined in on the operation and were currently headed towards the target. With the two face-to-face, Changing Spring was no longer so cold. Has anything happened recently? Changing Spring asked Blue River. Nothing much. I'm just a bit tired, Blue River said. So you've been on that other account the other time? How's Guild Happy doing? Changing Spring asked. Their development has been going very steadily, Blue River said. With Yichu leading, I doubt they'd make any low-level mistakes, Changing Spring said. Yeah, Blue River nodded his head. He really isn't easy to deal with, Changing Spring sighed. Blue River didn't follow up though. We're almost there, Comrade Boundboat said. For this operation, the top guilds sent out their elite members. This was because Thousand Creations himself wasn't easy to deal with, and they also suspected that Yichu had something prepared against them. They hoped to use this opportunity to create a huge wave, the bigger the better, and directly topple Guild Happy. Over there. It's Thousand Creations. Thundering Light saw Thousand Creations.